I want to ask you, Don Bennett, from health101.org, about the difference between what is the difference between misinformation and disinformation? Because to the listener out there, kind of our number one job is to discern the truth in this world. And we're constantly being, in some cases, lied to, or in other cases, we're just being influenced by someone who really doesn't know what they're talking about, but they have good intentions. And so, how does the listener kind of discern the path? And what is the difference between disinformation and misinformation? Because I've heard you talk about both of those.
Yeah, disinformation and misinformation, they are both false, inaccurate information. It's the delivery that differs. So if you're getting misinformation from somebody, that person may be very well intentioned, well meaning, a family member, a loved one, uh, and they think they know what they know, but they're telling you, they're sharing with you some information that is actually incorrect. And hopefully, if you can then find that out that it's incorrect and you share it with them, they'll be teachable enough to say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm glad you told me." Some people are a little too arrogant to react that way. But now, disinformation, on the other hand, is also incorrect information, but the person giving it out knows it's incorrect. And they're generally not well intentioned and well meaning. They have ulterior motives. So there are people who talk about certain things, presenting them to you, as factual when they're not, and they know it's not factual. In other words, some raw vegan educators believe that we don't need nutritional supplements. They honestly believe that. So, of course, they're going to share their honest opinion about that. Even though they're incorrect, they're going to share that opinion. There are other raw vegan educators who know that it isn't true, but are going to say it anyway because the last thing they want is for you to look into your nutrition because they're selling something else that they're saying, no, this is what you need. You need this. And what they're selling is not what you need, but they don't want you even thinking about. And if you say, well, Don Bennett said, well, no, Don doesn't know what he's talking about. And these are very disreputable people. Again, as I mentioned before, they're the exception rather than the rule in the vegan and raw vegan communities. But they do exist. And I've counseled a lot of people who found them initially and started learning from them. And yeah, they teach 90% of the same stuff I teach. So 90% of what they teach, I teach. But it's that 10% that they teach that I do not teach that is incorrect and that can cause you to fail 20 or 30 or 40 years down the road. And when that happens, you can't point back to them and point a finger at them and take them to court. And they know this. So they feel very safe in recommending the things they recommend in order to make maximal amounts of money. And it's just sad. That's why, in my private life, I was taught by my grandmother, if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say anything at all. Thanks, Granny. And that's in my private life. In my professional life, oh no. If I see someone teaching something that I know is incorrect, factually, objectively incorrect, I'm going to shine a light on it. I'm going to let people know. And, without accusing, without saying, maybe I don't know why this person is doing it. Maybe I'll assume they were just misinformed. Maybe I don't know enough about them to know that if they're doing it, disinformation kind of thing. And that's why when I started realizing that other people were teaching about raw vegan diets, I said, okay, good. Oh, wait, let me vet them. Let me see, why they're teaching what they're teaching. Who did they learn from? Once I realized there was misinformation, conflicting information in the raw vegan community, I said, okay, from this day forth, anybody who's teaching, I want to vet them to see why are they teaching what they're teaching, if what they're teaching has any incorrect information in it. And if they're teachable, and I found plenty of educators that are teachable, and that they were just amazed they were teaching something that was incorrect, and they corrected what they teach. Now, others, no. And sadly, some of the others who are not teachable, who have painted themselves into a corner and just, they dig in their heels, and they'll even go to the extent of saying, well, Don Bennett is very well-meaning, well-intentioned person. He just doesn't know what I know. And I know that you don't need nutritional, whatever it is. And they're intelligent enough to know, if they're more intelligent than I am, then they're certainly intelligent enough to know that what I'm saying is correct. Yet they don't want to, do a 180 on what they were teaching. Is it for fear of people saying, oh my God, this person I was following just admitted they were wrong about something. My whole world is shattered. Now I don't know. Do I continue following this person? Do I not? So they want to avoid that. So they just dig in their heels and continue to say the same thing that they've always said. And that's not in the best interest of the people they counsel. It's irresponsible, in my opinion. Because if I'm teaching something that's incorrect, I want to know about it. I want people to tell me, no, you're not correct about this. And I'll look into it. And if they're correct, I'll correct what I was teaching. And I'll let everybody know. I'll post it on my Facebook group. I was wrong about such and such. Now, you want to try to avoid that, but you avoid it not by just refusing to do it, but by being a good enough researcher where you don't get into that situation where you'd have to make that admission. And again, this is health we're talking about. So and another reason I don't want to get into that situation, that I've been teaching something wrong for a number of years, and oh my God, I can't believe it was wrong. So that's why I didn't start counseling until I learned enough, because of the awesome responsibility that it is.